The ACSS reticle is probably the best new reticle that's been on the market in over a decade. Why? Because you can go from point blank range to, I don't know, 500 yards without changing a damn thing. Makes life so much easier. So we're talking about the Primary Arms ACSS reticle. Specifically in this case, we're talking about the CQB one that they put on the 2X gold line optic, but most of this applies in some form to all of their optics that use the ACSS reticles. There's a bunch of different versions depending on the intended function. And to me, they are some of the best reticles on the market. I mean, you can spend 2, 3, 4 times as much money on an optic, even more, and the reticle is not more functional for the things people actually do. Now, if you're buying a reticle, you're buying an optic for a specific, very specific function, yeah, there may be better choices. The ACSS reticle is designed to be that general purpose, do all, cover as many bases as you can effectively kind of reticle. And unlike a lot of those reticles, it does it really, really well. So let's get into it. Let's look at what makes the ACSS so good and why I think that it is the best reticle for most people to use. So we are looking at the main portion of the reticle for most of the ACSS stuff. Big donut, central aiming point that is a chevron, not a dot. The chevron gives you a very precise aiming point, as they like to put it. It's infinitely small versus a dot that covers your actual target if you're doing a very small target. The ACSS reticle with the chevron doesn't do that. If you're up close and personal, if this is a very fast shot, you're putting this whole chevron on target, this whole donut on target, and shooting. The donut is not huge. You're looking at a magnified center portion of your field of view here. You are looking at this donut and going, well, that's huge. In your reticle, in your field of view in the optic, it is not huge. However, it is big enough that you can quickly see it and place it on target and shoot if you're close enough that worrying about being off by a tiny fraction is irrelevant, which is very handy in a self-defense scenario. This particular reticle zeroes at 50 yards. So the top of that reticle, the top of that chevron, you would zero at 50 yards. You can also finalize that zero at 200, or if you're me, you zeroed it at 200, because at 50 yards, if you're a little off, it's hard to tell for sure. At 200 yards, if you're a little off, you can tell. At 100 yards, you're going to be a little high. You're going to be, roughly, they say an inch. I found it to be like 1.25 inches with my rifle high. My question is, for the intended purpose of this rifle, if you don't have time to pay attention to that, who cares? If you do have time, I think we can all estimate what an inch is, right? You can hold under about an inch. It's not hard. The bottom of the chevron, the bottom of that arc, or that triangle, is 300 yards. That means that, again, you have a very easy aiming point. Visually, that is very easy to line up. It is very easy to see. And you notice that that's a very common distance. That's about as far as you're normally shooting, right? I mean, how many of us really take shots past 300 yards on anything we care about other than steel? So if you're trying to hit a very precise shot and it matters, you can see what you're shooting at. You can actually see the target rather than a dot. Now, you get to 400 yards and you're down to that dot. 500 yards, it's a slightly smaller dot. Those dots are pretty freaking small in the scope, okay? They're not big. It is very easy to put those dots on target and shoot. Is it absolutely perfect? Well, it depends. Is your ammo the exact same as their ammo? Yeah, probably not, right? Is your rifle the exact same as their rifle? Probably not. But I guarantee if you put that on steel, if you zero this properly and you have normal ammo in a relatively normal rifle, and you put that 400-yard dot in the center of a steel silhouette target at 400 yards, you're gonna hit it. 500 yards, you're gonna hit it. By the way, they've done the math for other calibers. Specifically, it's meant to be a 5.5, 5.56, but say you got a short barrel 5.56, they give you the numbers. 6.8, they give you the numbers. 308 or 6.5 Grendel, they give you the numbers. If you're leading your target, guess what? If you're leading and we're talking tactical situations here, right? Because these are meant for police, military, self-defense scenarios. If somebody's running directly perpendicular to your line of sight, a man running at full speed in gear is roughly 8.6 miles per hour. The edge of this reticle is for 8.6 miles per hour. By the way, 8.6 is what the military uses for a man, sprinting in gear, combat sprint kind of thing. Now, these marks down lower, if you can see my cursor moving around, down there, right? You're starting with this line down here, the bottom one, and the top of the head is your next marker, right? 300, 400, 500. So if the top of their head is even with this, when their feet are here, that's 500 yards. 400 yards, 300 yards. It assumes an average size adult, right? They're like 5'6" or something, 5'10", 5'10". These bars are going to cross if the person is, for example, not visible at the full height, right? The width is 18 inches. What's 18 inches? Roughly the width of their shoulders. Roughly, torso width, right? Again, you've got a range estimate. Is it perfect? No. Is it good enough to get a round on target if your life is depending on this? Yes. Now, whether you're shooting steel, you're using this for self-defense, you're using this for hunting, a non-cluttered, very quick, easy-to-use reticle like this is extremely useful. Don't get me wrong, if you have a rangefinder, use it, absolutely. But if you're going, I got a target there, I got a target there, I got a target there, what mark should I be using? What reticle spot should I be using? You can do it in reticle quickly. This is particularly handy for winning bets with your friends because they can put out steel targets at various distances and you can tell them, I bet you I can hit it even without using my rangefinder if you don't tell me how far away it is. Personally, I think that everybody who is using an AR-15 for a home defense rifle, self-defense rifle, truck gun, 2-gun, 3-gun, that kind of thing, you owe it to yourself to try an ACSS reticle optic. If you don't want to spend the money on one of their better ones, get one of their silver line optics in the right size, type, genre for your purposes. Give it a try. I think you will be very happy. If you're willing to spend the money, I really recommend their gold line or their platinum line. I think the gold line in particular nails that quality versus price point. Does it feel like a really high-end optic? No. But does it perform like one? Yeah. Does it have a reticle that everybody else should be doing their best to, license from Primary Arms? Because they keep trying to copy it and they don't really do a great job. Companies don't seem to get it right. They don't seem to figure out what people really are doing with their rifles. Check them out. I am not sponsored by Primary Arms. They don't know who I am. And probably never will. But been a loyal customer for a while. I really like their stuff. I think they get it right. And I know I harp on this. I know I harp on using them for other things. They do a good job. They're a good company. I like supporting good companies. I like suggesting other people use good companies. So take care, guys. Have fun. Stay safe. Keep shooting and give it a try.